All right, we're live on Facebook. I'm trying something different today, so we'll see if you guys can hear me or not. I'm running this through OBS, and I want to see if this is going to work. So we're gonna wait for somebody to hop on here and let me know if they can hear me on Facebook. If not, we're gonna have to redo this. Now I'm gonna go live on TikTok and see if anybody can hear me there as well. So what is going on here? Education. Let's go live and see what happens. All right, somebody's on Facebook. Can you hear me? Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me on Facebook. Because, okay, yeah, there's no sound on TikTok. Gosh dang it. If you can hear me on Facebook, drop a 1. Okay, cool. They can hear me on Facebook. I don't think anybody can hear me on TikTok, though. So that might be a problem. Yeah. I don't know what's going on here. Can you guys hear me on TikTok? If you can hear me on TikTok, drop a 1 in the chat. If you're on Facebook, bear with me for a second. I'm trying out something new. Might bite me in the... You hear me? Okay. You guys can hear me all right? Awesome. So it looks like we're good then. Yeah. Cool. We're trying something a little bit different. Now, you guys on Facebook and YouTube, you won't notice anything different. But on TikTok, I got a whole different little setup here. So I appreciate you hanging out. The dude, Corey, good to see you, man. I'm glad that you can hear me okay. Yeah, this is pretty cool. If you're on TikTok, can you guys see this picture at the top? Let me know if you can see this picture at the top. I'm just curious while we get going on this. So if you guys haven't listened to today's podcast that dropped this morning, episode 114 is where we're at. It's how to be a level 3 contractor. And I did some videos about this on TikTok where I talked about how to get level 3 clients and how to be a level 3 contractor. And so I went ahead and recorded a podcast about this, and that's what dropped today. Man, I should have got some more water before I started. That's what dropped this morning. And do me a favor, if you listen to that podcast episode this morning or today, drop a 2 in the chat. I want to know who's listened to it yet, and I'm just curious about it. So if you listen to the podcast, episode 114, how to be a level 3 contractor, drop a 2 in the chat, and I'll be able to find out. Paul, I see you need help. What do you need help with, man? Throw in the comments, and I'll see if I can help you. So level 3 contractor, what does that even mean? Okay, so let me pull up my notes here so I can see what's going on. So let me define what a level 3 contractor is real quick. If you're not familiar with it, a level 3 contractor, there's 3 levels, and I just made these up. I mean, you could make up 6 levels, 2 levels, whatever. I just how I kind of define it, right? So a level 1 contractor is going to be somebody who's basically just starting out. You just started your business, in the last year. You really have no idea what you're doing yet. You may know how to do your craft, but you don't know anything about business, how to do estimates, how to, you're still learning that, figuring it out. Can also be your weekend warriors, your side hustlers, your crackheads, your meth heads, all these different people, right? That's your level 1. Can also just be straight up scam artists, people that are like, hey, there's a shortage in construction. I could start a business, go out, scam a bunch of people, and then, move out of town in 3 months or whatever. Like, that's your level 1 contractor, right? Most level 1 contractors are just starting out, and they're not really making good money yet. They're making barely enough money or no money, right? That's a level 1 contractor. Level 2 contractor are going to be ones that have more experience. It's not really defined by a time frame. It could be, 6 months to 6 years in business. It doesn't matter. But level 2 contractors where most people stay at. The owners on the tools most of the time and never get off. They may have a few employees, they may not. They may struggle to make financial ends. They may get burnout, they may go bankrupt. The level 2 is where most people stay. That's every day is a grind, right? Think of it, every day is a grind. You may or may not be making good money. It just depends. You're still going to have some of your crackheads and scammers are going to be a level 2 contractor as well, but not as many. Most people fall on a level 2. A level 3 contractor is where you have a real business making real profits and you have real systems in place, right? Most of the people in level 3 business are going to be off the tools, whether 100% or mostly off the tools. Level 3s are going to have a marketing in place. They're going to have teams in place. Essentially, they can go on vacation, for weeks or months at a time, and the business runs on their own. That's not a hard, fast rule. I mean, some people can be a level 3 business still growing, and they could take off for a couple of weeks, but they can't just disappear completely, right? Level 3 contractor is what I call a premium contractor, and that's where most of us want to get. You can kind of demand your own rates. You can, you can set up however you want to do things. You can pick and choose what customers you want to work for. Like those are all level 3 contractors. So that's what we're kind of defining as a level 3 contractor, and where most of us want to aspire to become, right? And there's some qualities, there's some traits that I've noticed, and this is just from being in business, talking to other contractors, the ones that are having success, the ones that are, clients I have in the Profit Club, where I have a much more intimate relationship with their business and their numbers and what's going on behind the scenes. And so this is just a culmination of my experience, in my own business, working with level 3 contractors, and just even interviewing people on the podcast and stuff. So there's some common traits that I see with level 3 contractors, and that's one, they're a person of integrity, right? Like they want to do the right thing. Now, regardless if you're on TikTok and you watch my videos and the comments that are in there, people saying that that I'm ripping people off and I'm immoral and, unethical and all these other bull crap, like that, those people are just people that are stuck as an employee. They're never going to have, make the kind of money they want to make, and they want contractors to lower their prices because they want to be able to afford them, right? Those are just people, whether it's unfortunate or they put themselves in that position, like they're just not capable of being able to afford more luxury things. And so it's your fault as a contractor for wanting to make more money. Forget those people. Those aren't the normal people. Okay. That's not how most customers are in the world. So if you have integrity, like you're always going to do the right thing, right? I myself and most contractors that I know, like if you bid a job and you forget something, like you left something off the estimate, or something comes up that kind of was unforeseen, but you should have known, most contractors I know will eat that cost. Like they're not just going to make up a change order on purpose and like try to scam them out of money. Like most contractors eat that cost, right? I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars I've eaten in mistakes over the years and estimates. And that's what I mean by integrity. Like you're going to do the right thing by the customer. And then you have, really another trait I see is they have compassion. They have compassion for other human beings. Now, I'm not saying like, you have to like all people on earth. I mean, there's people that I dislike. There's types of people that I dislike. But I mean, you have to have general compassion for people. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, I freaking hate people. I hate all people and I don't want to talk to anybody, probably don't have the right level of compassion, right? You got to be trustworthy. You just have to be a trustworthy person, right? And then another one is, this is the most important one that I've seen, the characteristic, the trait of a level 3 contractor. They have a very high drive for self-mastery. Like they have a very high output and desire to be a student of learning, whether it's, watching TikToks, watching videos, reading books, hiring coaches, getting mentors, whatever it is, Like they don't just say, "Oh, I've been in business for 3 years. I learned everything I need to know. I'm good." No, like it's an unsatiable thirst that they have for getting better, right? That's the number one characteristic. And the last one is they're great communicators. They're very good at communicating their ideas. They're very good at communicating their desires, their mission, the purpose of their business. They're good at communicating with customers. They're good at communicating with their employees. Like they're just good communicators all around. Those are really the 5 main traits that I've seen in level 3 contractors. I'm going to pause there. I want to go through some of the comments because I know there were some that came through. And if you're watching on any of the platforms, feel free to drop your questions in there or comments, and I'll be able to answer those for you. So Paul said he needed help. He says he needs help with marketing, advertising, generating good leads. Been in business 25 years, but seems to be getting tougher. Yeah, Paul, my question for you is, do you have a website and all that stuff in place? What are you doing currently? I guess is my question. Thank you for your videos. I'm a new contractor in the boating industry. Nice. Focus on detailing. Glad to have you, Gabriel. Raina says, price has nothing to do with ethics. I can have a higher price and be more ethical than the lower. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Some of you say we're 2.5, definitely aspiring to be level 3.5. Level 2.5s or 2.25s, kind of self-evaluating. I mean, there's like no hard fast rule, right? I mean, if you're 2 or 3. And here's the thing too, guys, like you may be level 3 contractor in certain parts of your business, but not all the way across the board. Like you may be really, really good at leadership, right? Like you have a fantastic team in place that will do anything you ask them to do. I would consider that a level 3 contractor. But if you're struggling to get leads coming in and you're like running around like a chicken with your head cut off all the time trying to put out fires, then you're not a level 3 in terms of marketing and management. So like it's not like you're either a 2 or 3 and that's it. There's different areas of your business. Ideally, you would want all areas of your business to be a level 3, right? And if you're using averages, like I'm just making this up, but let's say there's 5 different areas. And actually, this probably would have been a good thing to add to the podcast. Let's say there's 5 different areas of your business that you need to master. I mean, I have 4. I kind of have 4. Like on TikTok, you can see right above here. These are kind of the 4 that I put in there. It's your mindset. It's profits, like the financials. It's your sales and marketing, and then it's like systems and processes. So if we use that like as the 4 criteria, then if you're a level 3 out of 4, then if we're using averages, like you're basically a 3, call it a 2.9, if you will, or whatever the average is. So you guys can figure that part out. Paul says, I advertised many years in newspapers and stopped because no repeat business and referrals. Yeah, Paul. I mean, you gotta have everything in place. You gotta have websites. You gotta have vehicle wraps. You gotta have social media. Like the old school method that you're used to, like phone book, AAA contracting. Get the first one in line. We had the Thrifty Nickel. Some of you old school guys know the Thrifty Nickel. You could advertise in there, or you could do local TV ad spots or whatever. Like those things are gone, right? Yellow pages, all that stuff's gone. And so if you're not constantly getting on the marketing trends, you're going to get left behind. My wife was telling me yesterday, she read an article that said, for the first time ever, like soda sales are down. Like across the board, soda sales are down. And it's because millennials and the younger generations are not drinking soda anymore. There's been enough information and content put out about how bad sodas are that now entire generations are not drinking soda. And do you think it's going to affect the soda companies? Absolutely. So what are they going to do? They're going to start repositioning. They're going to start changing their marketing, what they're doing. I mean, water's probably going to go freaking crazy through the roof, and they're going to start changing. They're going to pivot in what they do. They're going to push something else, right? So like, it's the same with marketing. Like, things change. The way people find people changes. The yellow pages are gone. The Better Business Bureau has no real value anymore, except for like boomers. Like these things, if you're just kind of, if you find something that worked 10 years ago and you're like, oh, this works great, and then you never reinvest and you never learn anything new, you're going to get left behind. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So this idea that don't fix if it ain't broken, like, no, it may not be broken, but that doesn't mean there's not a better way out there. Like, I like the Japanese philosophy, which is if it ain't broke, it's outdated, right? So if you apply Kaizen principles of, always constant improvement, like, how can we make this better? How can we make this better? How can we make this better? And I dropped the podcast on there too. And, one of the questions I said you should be asking is, how can I make this better? What can I do to get better at this? Whether it's marketing or production or sales or whatever, leadership, how can I make this better? One of the favorite questions that I always ask is, how can I make this better, faster, cheaper? Now, it's not always like all three. It's usually just one of those, but it's like the general question of, what can I do with this process that I'm doing now and just make it better overall? Can I do something to make it cheaper? Because, sometimes I can make things cheaper and I could pass the savings on, or I could make it cheaper, which gives me a higher profit margin. Like, there's all these different ways of doing things. Just like today, like, here's an example on TikTok. I'm using the live studio and I have a different setup here. I'm experimenting with a different way of producing the information. Now, it may not work. I may not like it. You guys may not like it, whatever, but it's still an experiment, right? And so that's what we should always be doing. Innovation in our business is always experimenting. So let me go back to the questions again and see what I missed. Still level 1, haven't quite made it over the hump. I'd say you're past level 1, Corey. I think you're past level 1. But it's slowed down a lot, and then I get ghosted after submitting proposals. So, Paul, you got to quit submitting proposals. If you guys haven't listened to, which podcast was that? I think it was 112. I think it was 112 I talked about this. Maybe, I don't remember. If you guys are trying to sell in estimates, meaning you go out, you do an estimate, and then you submit the proposal, and I don't care if you call it a bid or an estimate or whatever, proposal. If you submit the estimate and then you're waiting to find out if they pick you, then you're doing it completely wrong, right? If you use number 3 here, Sales Accelerator, if you use the profit sales system, which is what I teach, you will know within a 90-95% certainty before you ever go out to their house if you're going to get the job or not. And then you're going to get paid to go out there, right? Hoping that you submit an estimate and then they hire you is like, no. It's like, no. That's not how you run a business, guys. I joked around, it's like the claw. If you guys ever watched Toy Story, in the very beginning, they're in the arcade and they got those little alien squeaky toys, and the claw comes down to claw machine, right? And it grabs the squeaky toy. Well, to them, from their perspective, the claw is like the almighty, selector of them. And if they get selected, then like they're moving on to the better life, right? And so like that's kind of how I envision, and I did this too, guys. This is how I envision when you submit an estimate. It's like you're waiting for the almighty claw to come and select you, right? Oh, the claw. You guys know what I'm talking about. That's how we approach. That's how we approach doing estimates and hoping they select us. If you're doing that, stop. Like, stop right now. Don't do that. Know before you even go out to their house if they're going to hire you. Like, it's not hard to do. It does require some practice, but it's 100% attainable. All my clients enjoy this. One of my clients, Luke, when he signed up, when he joined, he already had a successful business. He already had like 11 employees. He was 100% off the tools. He has a landscaping business and a greenhouse business. And I mean, if you like financially, he's already successful. But he was running himself ragged doing free estimates because that's the only way he knew how. So the only thing I showed him how to do was how to pre-qualify people over the phone, get paid to go do estimates, and and then that's it. Like, he didn't have to learn really anything else, right? I don't know who you are on Facebook. A complete joke to think I made it this far doing that. I don't know. I can't see your name, so I don't know who you are. All he did, the only thing he really benefited was learning how to pre-qualify. And by doing that, he literally saved over 2 months a year of his time. Like 2 months total. Like every day of work, if you took an 8-hour day times 5 days, added it up for 2 months, that's how much time he saved by implementing the sales system. That's big, guys. That's huge. That's a huge impact. You guys are out there doing free estimates as a part-time job, and it's crazy to me. One of my local competitors here, and then I'll get to the comments here. One of my local competitors, there's 2 guys. One guy is out in the field and like doing all the work, and I'm friends with him. I'm friends with the guy who's out in the field. There were 2 different companies that merged together, and the guy who's in the office, running the business, he basically has a full-time job doing estimates. Like, he spends 30 hours a week just running around doing estimates. And I was like, dude, why are you doing that? I was trying to talk to my buddy who's the one doing production, and I was like, dude, you're getting taken advantage of. I don't know if you know this or not. Like, you're doing all of the work, and he's out there wasting all of his time. Like, you're completely being taken advantage of. And but people don't want to listen. So, all right, let's go back to the questions. My sales text leads is like 10-to-1 ratio lately. Terrible. It might be lagging. The video might be lagging. Justo says, Brad has definitely set me on the road to become a 1-2 contractor. Started talking with a pro advertiser. We shall see. You don't really need a pro advertiser, although those can be helpful. DB Wardrobe says, I need number 4, struggle at times. Number 4, are you talking about like high drive for self-mastery? Is that what you're talking about? Adapting is very important in business. Yeah. Yep. Fast food will be next. Fake food gains weight. Yeah. I was actually just reading Raina right before I got on here. I was just reading an article about some food stuff. Have to be in the customer's face to be seen. Not really. I mean, are you talking about marketing? Yeah. I mean, you gotta have your business in front of them. Yeah. I thought you were talking about like selling. Yeah. You got to have good marketing in place. Angie said, this is where my W-2 employer is stuck. So, yeah, you work for somebody. Is that what you're saying? Man, like drop some hints. Hey, man, hey, boss, you ever seen this guy on TikTok named Brad? You might want to check him out. Moms of Facebook gets me a lot of leads. 100%, Paul. Yeah, 100%. I thought about starting a Facebook group that was wives of contractors. Like, no joke. It's, a Facebook group dedicated for wives, because predominantly the males run the business. The wives, this is not a sexist thing. It's just statistically, that's how it works out. But wives of contractors, for the purpose of kind of creating a support group for them, but also as a backdoor way into their husbands' businesses to try and help them out. I don't have the capacity to do that, but it was something that I thought about doing. And so your comment, the moms of Facebook, made me think about that. SoCal says, have to stay in alert, jump on the newest everything fast. Yeah, like ChatGPT. Like, I'm doing a bunch of ChatGPT stuff right now for my clients. Like, I'm I'm going out, I am learning a lot of these texts and things. I'm using them in my own business, but then I'm passing on that knowledge to my clients so that they don't have to go out and spend 20 hours, researching how to do all these things. Like I'm just aggregating all of the best practices. I go out there and I'll spend 20 hours researching the top trends and how to use prompts in Chat GPT, and then I can isolate all that information, digest it, and then just give them the bullet points of what's important. And so, like, that's just one new technology that's changing. Like Chat GPT is going to change how marketing is done, right? And so if you're one of those people like, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and not pay attention, then you're going to get left behind. It's just that simple. You can't say I'm not tech savvy and then use as an excuse. You just can't do that. Thinking outside the box, always flipping point of view, trying to find little niches before something. Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate question. Have you guys ever heard the saying, how do you become a millionaire? You solve a problem that nobody else has solved, right? How do you become a billionaire? You solve bigger problems. It's that simple. Like if you want to create a niche in your industry, if you want to become the world-class leader in your town and your niche, start solving problems that nobody else has solved or is not doing a very good job of solving, right? One of the things that I did in my business, well, because I started out as a superintendent, eventually a construction manager, and most of the stuff we did was light commercial. We built strip malls, we built high-end homes, we built office buildings, stuff like that. And when you do commercial, when you're doing commercial real estate, like you're usually dealing with business owners, right? People that are like more business savvy, more professionalism. And so it's like the way you interact with those people is on a much like more professional, level. But then, we did some work for residential. We built some houses and stuff. And it's like in what I was seeing, this was 11 plus years ago, but the residential was kind of like there was no level of professionalism there. It was just kind of like the hack jobs and stuff for running these businesses. And so my niche was I took that extreme level of professionalism you get in commercial and I took it down to the smallest level. Like I didn't care if you needed your gutters cleaned out. I was going to treat you the exact same way as if you were a client that was building a $2 million building. Like there was no separation of the level of professionalism that you got. Like that was kind of my niche, was the service side of it was going to be off the charts. And because of that, I built a very highly marketable, high demand business. So that was kind of a niche, right? That's just a small example of how to do that. Raina says, I feel I'm stuck at level 2. Most of them get stuck. Raina, most of them get stuck there. By the way, I have a guy in my one of my clients. He just started like 2 months ago. He started a custom. He's a welder, so I'm assuming that's kind of what you do with the ironworks. He's a welder, and he is like, I mean, he's already raised his prices twice, and he just started his business like 2 months ago. So, some of that may just be if you're stuck, you can't. I got it right here on this is one of my favorite quotes. It's Albert Einstein. I have it right here on my dry erase board. It says, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we use to create them. So it's super important if you're stuck in your business, it's because you've maxed out your level of knowledge and you need to gain new levels of knowledge to move to the next level, right? What you need to know to get you from zero to like say $500,000 or $300,000 in revenue is a very basic level of information. But to go from 3 to 500 to 1 million in revenue, it requires even more information. And then to go from 1 million to 5 million, it requires another set of information because you create new problems as you go. As you scale your business, you create new problems. When you're a one-man show, it's easy for you to, if you want, like when you start out, if you're single, you have no kids, you're not married, no girlfriend, I mean, you could work, and you're 22 years old, you could work 18-hour days, 6 days a week, and it won't even affect you. And you can make a lot of money, but you're making money because you're working a lot of hours, not because you're charging more. Conversely, if you hire your first employee, now you got to, like, even the simple stuff like, how do you fill out a W-4? How do you submit your taxes? How do you do payroll, right? Those are things you never had to deal with. Now you hire your first person. Now you just created a new problem. Now you got to deal with payroll. Now you got to deal with leadership. Now you got to deal with how do you transfer the information in your head to them? Like, you're creating new problems. And then if you get to where you hire a lead guy and you're off the tools, now you created a new problem. How do you, like, manage the job when you're not even on the job? So each level creates new problems. But in order for you to be able to grow your business, you have to learn more information. That's why a high drive for self-mastery is what you need to obtain. For me, I've always had an insatiable thirst for learning. So, like, even as much as, how long has it been? 20 years ago, like when I first got out of the military and I learned about audio CDs and nonfiction. Like, the very first CD I ever got was Tony Robbins' Lessons in Mastery. Back then it was like an 8 CD set. You buy a box of CDs, there's 8 CDs. It's like 8 hours of content. You throw them in your CD player and you listen to them. And ever since then, I've been listening to audiobooks and reading and taking classes, watching YouTube videos. I mean, I would learn things that I knew I wasn't even going to need for maybe 1 or 2 years down the road. Like, I'm learning in advance, right? I'm not suggesting you have to do that. I'm just saying I never stopped learning. And that's where you got to be in your business. Paul says, I'm sold to where I sign. Paul, you can go to, there's lots of ways. You can go to my profile. If you go to my profile, which it might be covered up, but it's in this corner. If you click on my face, there should be a way for you to go to my links. And there's a button there that says Get Coaching. Gabriel says, time is money. Yeah, Brad is right. Listen, change now. Awesome, Brad. Thank you. I do free estimates, but over the phone only. Ask questions and can determine price from answers. Yeah, that's how we teach it. But there's some strategic ways to do that. How would you recommend a remodel 35K job? Would I get 50% up front since I'm buying materials as well? What do you mean? You just tell them, hey, this is how we do it. 35K, you're going to owe me, what is that, 17,000, 17,500. That's it. Before you sign the paperwork, in your estimate or your contract, it should have payment terms, payment schedule. You should have a payment schedule. And you guys, some of you guys got to check your state laws for that, because every state's different. Like California, you can't take more than 10% down. Like, you just can't do it. So your state's going to dictate a lot of that. And this is where a good attorney is going to allow you to really understand all of this, right? So, you have a payment schedule in your estimate. Deposit required to get started, 50% down. Here's the next milestone, or here's how we're doing it. We're going to get paid every 2 weeks. Whatever your payment schedule is, you need to have it in your contract. And it is required by law in most states that you actually have a payment schedule. But you tell them before you sign the paperwork, right? You don't go like sell them the job, show up to collect the deposit, and then like, hey, sign my contract. Here's the contract, sign. Okay, now give me 50% down. What are you talking about? I'm not giving you 50%. No, like this all happens way before you ever sign the contract. Gabriel says, discipline is one of the most important things being self-employed. Yeah. Right. Raina says, marketing. Having trouble getting clients. What are the best ways to advertise? Street signs or Facebook ads? I mean, street signs are very low key. Facebook ads are going to do better. Guys, you got to be dominating Google. Like, it's not even an option. If you don't have SEO in place, if you don't have a Google business profile set up, if you don't have reviews, you're so far behind the power curve, it's not even funny. I mean, most of my leads came from my reviews because I had over 120 reviews on Google, and my closest competitor had like 17. When someone's shopping for your services and you have 122 or 500 and your closest competition has 10 or 12 or 50, they're going to call you first. It's not even a question. But a lot of you guys are not even showing up on Google. If you search for my services in my town, like I would have 5 of the top 10 spots organically would show up because of blog posts, because of SEO, because of all the different content. It would say, here's Facebook page, and here's website, and here's an article, and here's the LinkedIn or whatever, like all the different ones. I mean, I just dominated because I knew that was important. You can't not pay attention to it. That's why when people says just do good work and you'll never run out of leads, that's bullcrap. You got to start somewhere. You can't just get leads. Should I get 50% deposit on a 30K job? I'm buying materials. Yeah, I got a 40% deposit. I did 40, 30, 20, 10. That was my payment schedule. 40% down, 30% after rough in, 20% after trim out, 10% final. Afternoon, Michael. Marketplace, neighborhood apps. Guys, also, listen, if you're having trouble getting leads, seriously, go listen to my podcast episode. Where's it at? Episode 92, guys. Go to episode 92. It's literally titled 33 Ways to Market Your Business. I have 33 different ways you can market your business. You can also go to episode 60, which is what I would do if I started a contracting business tomorrow. Now, those are a little bit different strategies, but some of you, especially if you're new, I would go listen to what I would do if I started a contracting business tomorrow, because there's some specific things in there that's going to help accelerate the process. But if you've been in business for a minute, go listen to episode, what I just told you, 92, 33 ways to market your business. And that's going to give you all the ideas that you need for marketing. ChatGPT is going to take over and everyone needs to learn how to use it 100%. That's why I'm creating the course inside my program to teach people how to use it. Can you make an estimate proposal video? Justin, that's hard to do, really, to do. I mean, is there anything specific you're wanting to learn in the estimate proposal video? Because that's really specific to your industry and your way of doing things. So if you can give me like some specific things that you want to see, I could probably do that. But like just creating a generic estimate proposal video, I mean, that could be 100 different ways to do that. Rain iron, yeah, yes, okay. Do about 700K, did 1 million once. Yeah, Paul, we can easily get that over 1 million consistently. I wish I could have created my own business doing what you are, 40 years experience, but scared female. Well, you could, SoCal. I mean, there's nothing keeping you from doing it. Do you have a construction business now? This year I'll do less than 500K in sales. I'm hurting. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing 5 to 750 and now you're doing 500, that can definitely put a stop on your. Definitely make you a little nervous. Paul, just reach out to me. Seriously, schedule a strategy call with me. I mean, I'm pretty confident I can help you in your business. Learn daily for the future. I know where I want to be in the future. California is stupid. Yes, it is. SoCal escrow account is a safe option. You can do an escrow. If you have a customer who's like really nervous about doing a deposit, doing an escrow account is a valuable solution. But here's the thing, guys. This is the communication part. Remember I told you that some of the traits of a level 3 contractor is effective communication. When you communicate, when you know how to effectively communicate with your clients, you will learn what concerns they have around the money because you will have asked the right questions. And one of the questions you can ask in the sales process to draw this information out is, if I said, hey, Paul, have you ever worked with, you ever done a project like this before? Or have you ever worked with other contractors before? And if they say, yeah, we've done a few other projects. Oh, how were those experiences? How did those things, those experiences go? And if they start to be like, well, it was okay, or well, there's a couple issues, anything like that, that sounds like a negative, you need to, wish I could snap left here. You need to hone in on that. We call that a buzzword, and you need to like really dive into that. Well, it was okay. We had a couple bad experiences. I'm going to do a mirror on them. Bad experiences, right? Yeah. Just the horror stories. You probably all heard them. Like contractor. We had one that we hired. He wanted 40% down, and we gave him the money. And then, he didn't show up for 3 months. He was supposed to start in 2 weeks. Gave us some sob story about losing his guys, and then finally he started, and then he'd work for 2 days and then leave, and it was just a big headache, and our money was tied up, and then we had an issue, and it was just a big deal. Like, they're saying stuff like that, I'm listening. I got all ears going. I want to know, like, okay, so it sounds like he had a really bad experience with some money mismanagement. The contractor didn't manage his money correctly. Yeah, you could say that. So it's probably going to be really important for you to know where the money's going, and what it's being used for. Yeah, we definitely want to know, because the last guy, he would run out of money and have to come and ask for more money. Like, that's communication. That's listening. That's listening for the cues, and then honing in on those, and then finding out what's important. So if I'm hearing a contract or a customer telling me that they got screwed once, or that they had problems with money, they're going to be apprehensive. They're going to have concerns around the money. And if I know that, then I can address it whenever I go to ask for the money. So if I know this and I say, Paul, you told me earlier about your experiences that you had with the contractor, and I could definitely, empathize with that situation. I hate hearing that, that clients have to go through that. I just want to let you know that we do have a pretty aggressive payment schedule, and it might make you a little uncomfortable. We collect 50% down to get started. Is that going to be a problem for you guys? Right? If I approach that whole conversation with that type of compassion and empathy, and by the way, we call that tactical empathy, because I'm tactically employing that empathy in the right place at the right time. Do you think they're going to be much more comfortable with that? Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean that that's going to remove all of their worry. But if I'm actually compassionate, if I'm actually empathetic towards the situation, and I'm like, well, I know you had some issues, and I'm willing to, work with you a little bit, and there's some options that we might be able to do, but I'm just curious, if does 50% down, is that going to be an issue? And they go, yeah, that really makes us nervous, Brad. I totally understand. What about if we did this and then X, right? What about if what if I just took 10% down now, and then 6 months from now, because we're 8 months out to do the project. In 6 months, when I have to order the materials, then at that point is when I'll collect the other 30%. Would that relieve some of that anxiety you have? Yeah, that would be wonderful. That if you could do that, that would be wonderful. Like, I just, it seems now that I'm trying to work really hard to accommodate them. I'm not like bending over backwards for them. I'm actually empathetic to their situation and trying to work with them. Does it affect me? Not really. All I need is that extra money before I order the materials, right? And that's the difference, guys. Like, that's a level 3 effective communication contractor, right? It's not just, hey, I'm here. Can I get a check? I want a check for 50%. Well, you're not going to do it. Well, then screw you. We're not going to hire. We're not going to work for you. 50% or nothing. Like, that's how some of these guys are out there. Okay, back to the questions. I've never called someone from a street sign. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the street signs. You have digital copies of contracts and payment schedules for your program. I don't have any contract information because it's so unique. You really need to have your contract. You need to have your attorney draw that up for you. Payment schedules is pretty simple. Like, you just do whatever you want. It's either going to be a weekly progress payment, or, bi-weekly, weekly progress, or it's going to be some kind of milestone. Like for me, it was after rough end was done, 30%. After final trim out was done, 20%. And then final invoice was 10. So the payment schedules are pretty easy. The dude says, I have many leads, can't get them all from word of mouth. Yeah, so dude, you need to put more pre-qualification on your website and in your process. Like I know you mentioned earlier about your voicemail. Like you can do pre-qual. If you get too many leads, you need to have more friction. You need to put more friction between you and the customer. If you don't have any leads, you need to remove all of the friction between you and the customer. I had so many freaking leads coming in, I had to put friction. So I had on my website, I was asking them like 10 different questions. How did you find out about us? What time, what's your time frame for getting this done? What are you wanting to have done? Their phone number, their email, their text message, their name, their address, how they found out about us. I would require them to submit pictures. Like, I made it very difficult to do business with me. Why? Because the ones that would follow through were very serious. I had the number of people that went to my form page, the page that had the form on there, was 3 times more than the people that actually filled out the form. So, because I made it too difficult. If I just had on there, first name, last name, phone number, and that's it, I would have 3 times the amount of leads that I would have to go through, right? So it just depends on your situation. But if you have too many leads, you need to put more friction in between them. And you can also pre-qualify them with your website, with blog posts, with pricing. If you have too many leads, you should have pricing on your website. Nigel, if you just search on any of and by the way, guys, now that I've proofed out this new format on TikTok, I can add more information on here with some of these things that you're asking me, but I didn't want to get too crazy because I didn't know if this was even going to work. But you can go to your favorite podcast player and just search for Hammer and Grind Podcast. That's it. Hammer and Grind Podcast, and you'll find it. Yeah, SoCal says, at the end of my career, and I know my experience is valuable. Yeah, well, reach out to me. I might have something that I could plug you into. I might be able to use some of your experiences. So I'm not ready to hire coaches, but in the future, that might be an opportunity. But there may be some opportunities now. So let's start a conversation and just see. I'm always looking to, network and what's the other word? What's the word I'm looking for? I didn't get much sleep. Last night was terrible, guys. AC was out. Dog was getting up. Like, I got up about 4 times. Like, my brain doesn't work. Yeah. Anyways, coordinate. What's the word for, like, not coordinate, but like when you do something together, not cooperate. Dang, what's that word? Conjunction. It's a C word. It's right there. It's hanging out. My biggest problem is systematizing and scaling. Serenity. Are you sure that's your biggest problem? Do you have more? Are your profits maxed out? Are you getting 50% gross profit on all of your jobs? Because if the answer is no, then you don't have a systematizing and scaling problem. If you're on TikTok, look right here. Number 4, systematize and scale. It's number 4 on my blueprint for a reason. Because most contractors think they need to hire employees and, quote, scale to make more money. And what they do is they scale a big fat turd. And when you take a little turd, your business, and you scale it, you now have a big fat turd. And big fat turds are hard to flush. I hope that gives you a visualization. Most contractors do not need to systematize and scale to grow their business. Most of them need to make more money first. That's why the first step right here on TikTok, master your mindset. That is the very first thing I have everybody go through. It's the first module, because limiting beliefs around I can't charge more money, or I can't find good work, good helpers, or I can't find this, or this doesn't work, like all these limiting beliefs, that's the main roadblock for most contractors. And then the second thing is they don't charge enough. That's why step number 2 in the profit blueprint is pricing for profits. Because that is once you price your jobs correctly, you will make way more money than you ever thought possible. And you may not even need to hire any more people. You may not need to scale your business. There's guys out there that are doing $600,000-$700,000 a year in revenue, and they're putting $150,000-$200,000 in their pocket because they have a 50% gross profit, which usually ends up somewhere around 15 to 20 to 25% net. Whereas some of these goobers on my page are talking about getting 8% net. You might as well just shut down your business if you're trying to get an 8 or 10% net. It's crazy. Max out your profits first. And then here's the crazy thing. If you're making, let's just say whatever you're making now, you automatically add $7,000 a month in additional profit. You're not doing any more work. You're not hiring any more people. You're doing the exact same output, but all of a sudden you're making an extra $7,000 a month. How much easier do you think it would be for you to start systematizing your business? It would be a lot easier, because now you could just buy a software to do all your estimates and stuff. Now you could literally hire an office manager potentially to come in and run the office for you. Like, having extra profits makes every other step in your business that much easier. Plus, when you're making good money, you actually start to enjoy your business. It's no longer this, chain around your ankle that's keeping you down, right? So you got to max out your profits way before you scale your business. And that's what the number one thing in terms of scaling that contractors do wrong. Yo, what's up, Jeremy? Good to see you. SoCal says AIA contract is best boilerplates that easily customize, expensive at first, but can get copied. Yeah, I mean, I've never did the AIA. I know that's like kind of a standardized platform, but I never use them. If you're doing commercial or residential, industrial and stuff, you kind of have to use AIA contracts. But if you're doing residential, it's not really a requirement. Tall guy says, drives me crazy when many little tiny expenses show up. How do I push it on the customer? You don't. This is estimating. This is job costing, guys. SoCal partner, yeah, A1A partner, yeah. Do you recommend having workers on payroll or everything subcontract? Alex, it depends on your business model. I did a hybrid. I had employees and subcontractors. It just depends on what your goal is, right? If you want more control and you want more better experience and really just kind of stay a little bit smaller, but maybe max out your profits, I would probably do employees. If you're wanting to scale and get into multi-million dollars worth of work, you're going to have subs. I mean, it just kind of depends. Yeah, Julio says, for me, it's easier to sub. I got good guys and keep them close. Yeah. One of my guys on Facebook, Jeremy, he's one of my clients, and he subs everything out. It just depends on what you're wanting to do. So back to the tower guy. So guys, you got to. This is why it's important to job cost. Okay, let me get my board out here. This is my. This is something else I'm experimenting with. You guys got to experiment on stuff in your business. So let's say I do a job and I get done, I job cost it, and let's say I had 40 man hours. Maybe I'm a one man show. Maybe you're a tile guy, you're a one man show. You had 40 man hours for you, and you got materials. And let's say the materials were $2,000. Okay, that's all I'm going to put on there. So we do our job, we come back, and now we do what's called job costing, or what I call job costing. And we look at how many labor hours we had, and we look at it, and we ended up, let's put it down here. We ended up having 48 man hours. So we were 8 hours over on man hours. Okay. Then we look at materials, and we were $2,500 in materials. So we were 5 hours. So we were plus 500 plus 500. I just job costed the job. My materials were over 500 and I was 8 hours over. So the next logical question is, what happened? What went wrong? Okay. And I go back and look at my labor and I say, well, I had 40 hours figured. Was that 48? So what happened? Right. And then I go back because it was only 40 hours. It wasn't like a 500-hour job. I could go, well, one thing that happened is the supply house, when I went and picked up all my raw materials, I was supposed to get 10 bags and they only gave me 8, and I didn't catch it. And so I drove all the way 45 minutes back to the job, and then halfway through the job ran out of mud, ran out of thin set, right? So I had to go back to the store and get 2 more bags and blah, 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 right? All I'm doing is it's like an after action report. If you guys are in the military, or if you know anything about like the military special operations report, they always do an after action report immediately. They do a debrief. They go out, they execute the mission, they come back, they debrief immediately before they do anything and say what went right, what went wrong. They take that information, and now you have knowledge going forward to fix it in the future. So in this situation where I had, they shorted me 2 bags, what can I do? How can I solve this problem? What can I do to make sure it doesn't happen again? Well, I can get a checklist, or maybe I had the list, I just didn't check it because I was in a hurry. I was in a hurry because I, didn't bid the job correctly. Like, all I'm doing is going through and figuring out what went wrong and what went right. And what went right, I want to duplicate that. And what went wrong, I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so it doesn't take very many jobs. If you start job costing correctly, in as little as 5 to 10 jobs, you can eliminate most of those issues that you're having. Those little tiny expenses that show up, you can eliminate most of them, right? The other thing, and this is my favorite way, the tile guy 2027. Here's my favorite way to eliminate a lot of these little unnecessary things that roll up. Here's the normal price to do the job. Okay. You normally charge 10K all in to do the job, but you actually raise your prices and you get 50% gross. So now you're actually charging 15K to do the exact same job. So now you have $5,000 to deal with all those little things that come up. So now when you have an extra $500 that shows up in extra expenses, you don't give a crap because you still made an extra $4,500. So that's why this formula makes it so much easier. Now, obviously, I don't want to keep losing $500 every time I do a job. But when I do lose $500, I don't care because I've got so much profit in there. But whenever you're at $10,000 and it's an extra $500, and that was like no markup, and you like it's going into your labor and your profit, like that stings, right? That hurts a lot. So job costing is extremely important to always check what's going on in your business and make sure that you are not making the same mistakes. Most of us, we just keep missing the same things. Hold on one second, guys. I got to check something here. Make sure, I don't know, I was supposed to have a call right now, but he never responded. So I just want to make sure I'm not going to miss him because we're a little bit over on time. Yeah, SoCal job costing, direct and indirect cost for selling price yearly. Been having guys on payroll, but I charge good, but feel my guys don't work in my scheduled time. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Alex. What's up, Dixon? Yeah, he says job costing is the hardest part. It definitely can be. If you guys don't have a job costing worksheet, go shoot me a message. You can go get it. I have one. It's super easy to plug into. It makes it very simple to do job costing. So hit me up if you need a job costing worksheet. I can get you one. I do need to hop off here, guys. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. Hopefully this was helpful. If you guys, some of you have been on here the whole time, some of you have come in recently. If you want help, in your business, more than happy to help you out. Yeah, appreciate you setting up the lives. Yep. You can go get my profit blueprint. That's what I teach inside my profit club, my coaching group. And if you guys want access to that. So I'll be more than happy to help you out. And yeah, appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks, guys.